In our society, we are often captivated by stories of crime and the psychological motivations behind them. One of the most chilling and horrifying phenomena that continues to intrigue and disturb us is the existence of serial killers. These individuals, driven by their darkness, commit heinous crimes, leaving a trail of fear and devastation. Serial killers are among the most terrifying criminals that society has to face. The idea that someone could take the lives of multiple people in a premeditated and gruesome manner is difficult to comprehend. While every case is different, psychologists have tried to point to a variety of factors that might mold someone into a serial killer. In this video, we will delve into the dark world of serial killers, exploring their psychology, motives, and the chilling stories that have shocked the world. Strictly speaking, a serial killer is someone who murders at least two people in separate events that occur at different times. While serial murder is not formalized by any legal code, the crimes of serial killers have often been seized on by the media and the public consciousness, especially in cases where there are many victims or the murders are carried out in gruesome fashion. There are biological, social, and psychological underpinnings of serial killer behavior. People that become serial killers are often intrinsically motivated by reasons they consider to be important. It occurs amongst a variety of demographic groups, including people of different races, genders, ages, and religions. Some who are motivated by sex, typically begin to sexualize violence during childhood development. However, it is important to note that there is no particular cause of serial killing, but the traits above tend to be common amongst them. Serial killers are often diagnosed with psychopathy or antisocial personality disorder, which causes a complete disregard for the safety and well-being of others. The absence of empathy, combined with a deep-seated need for power and control, leads these individuals on a path of destruction. Many serial killers have experienced a traumatic childhood, characterized by abuse, neglect, or violence. These early experiences often shape their personalities and contribute to their psychopathic tendencies. Early warning signs, such as cruelty to animals or a fascination with fire-setting, can be observed in their youth, serving as red flags that are often overlooked. Many serial killers are depicted as people who experienced childhood traumas and sexual abuse. However, that does not explain why others with similar experiences do not turn into violent monsters. In 2014, experts in the FBI's Behavioral Science Unit, which studies criminal minds, believe that serial killers program themselves in childhood by engaging in an escalating series of fantasies. One of the primary motives behind the acts of serial killers is the desire for power and control over their victims. By exerting their dominance, they fulfill their twisted fantasies and derive pleasure from the agony and suffering they inflict upon others. Sexual gratification is another driving force behind the crimes committed by many serial killers. Their violent acts are often intertwined with perverse sexual fantasies, manifesting in brutal assaults, necrophilia, or sadistic rituals. Some serial killers are motivated by a need for excitement and the thrill of hunting and capturing their victims. The element of danger and the adrenaline rush derived from their actions become an addiction, driving them to repeat their crimes. Have you ever heard the spine-chilling tales of Jack the Ripper? The name itself evokes a sense of fear and mystery. In this video we'll delve into the ghastly crimes of this infamous serial killer who terrorized the streets of London in the late 19th century. Jack the Ripper, a name that remains etched in the annals of history, was an unidentified serial killer who operated in the Whitechapel district of London in 1888. The true identity of this macabre figure remains a subject of speculation to this day, adding to the intrigue and fascination around the case. During a span of a few months, Jack the Ripper brutally murdered at least 5 women, all of them presumed to be prostitutes. The victims' bodies were mutilated in a manner that displayed a level of medical knowledge, leaving behind a trail of terror and horror. The sheer brutality of the killings sent shockwaves across the city and captivated the attention of the world. Despite the best efforts of the police and immense public attention, Jack the Ripper was never captured or definitively identified. The investigations, led by several detectives and fueled by media frenzy, produced numerous suspects, but none were found guilty. The case remains open to this day, making it one of the most enduring mysteries in criminal history. The legend of Jack the Ripper continues to captivate and intrigue people around the world. The case has inspired countless theories, books, movies, and even walking tours in London. The Ripper's crimes have become a cultural touchstone, symbolizing the dark underbelly of Victorian London and the perils faced by women living in impoverished areas of the city.
Jack the Ripper's reign of terror may be long over, but his legacy lives on. The gruesome details of his crimes, the unsolved mysteries surrounding his identity, and the historical context in which he operated make him a figure that continues to haunt our collective imagination. Although over a century has passed since the fiendish acts, the name Jack the Ripper still evokes a chilling and lasting impact. So, the next time you walk the dimly lit streets of Whitechapel or immerse yourself in the tales of Victorian London, remember the terrifying story of Jack the Ripper, a tale that will forever be etched in the dark corners of history.
Ted Bundy is a name that has become synonymous with evil and terror. He was an American serial killer, kidnapper, and rapist who took the lives of countless innocent victims during the 1970s. We will now dive into the chilling details of Bundy's crimes, his modus operandi, and the impact he had on society. Born on November 24, 1946, in Burlington, Vermont, Theodore Bundy seemed like an ordinary child growing up. He exhibited charismatic traits, intelligence, and charm, which would later become tools in his heinous acts. Despite his outwardly normal persona, there were signs of darkness lurking beneath the surface. As Bundy graduated from college and entered adulthood, his violent tendencies began to surface. He started by targeting young women, often pretending to be injured or needing assistance to gain their trust. Once he had them in his grasp, he would overpower them and subject them to unspeakable acts of violence. Bundy's reign of terror spanned several states, including Washington, Oregon, Utah, and Colorado. His victims ranged in age from teenagers to young women in their mid-20s. His cold-blooded nature was evident in the meticulous planning and execution of his abductions. Bundy's modus operandi involved approaching his victims in public places, such as college campuses or shopping centers. He would often disguise himself, change his appearance, or use fake names to prevent being recognized. This cunning tactic allowed him to continue his crimes undetected for an extended period. Ted Bundy's criminal spree came to an end when he was finally apprehended by the police in 1978. He was put on trial for his crimes, facing multiple murder charges. Despite his attempts to manipulate the legal system and represent himself in court, Bundy was eventually convicted and sentenced to death. However, Bundy's story doesn't end there. He managed to escape custody twice, further adding to his infamy. These daring escapes fascinated the public and highlighted the flaws in the prison system, leading to widespread changes in protocols and security measures. Ted Bundy's case had a profound impact on society, sparking conversations about serial killers, the criminal justice system, and the psychology of evil. His story has been the subject of countless books, documentaries, and movies. Bundy's name is often invoked as an example of pure evil and serves as a chilling reminder of the darkness that can reside in a seemingly ordinary individual. The tale of Ted Bundy is a grim reminder of the horrors that humans are capable of. His heinous crimes and the chilling details surrounding them have left an indelible mark on society. It is crucial to study and understand such notorious figures to prevent history from repeating itself. May we continue to learn, be vigilant, and remember the victims who lost their lives at the hands of this remorseless killer. As we continue this video, we'll explore the twisted story of Aileen Wuornos, one of America's most infamous female serial killers. Hold on tight as we unravel the details of her horrifying crimes and try to understand the motivations behind her actions. Aileen Wuornos was born on February 29, 1956, in Rochester, Michigan. Unfortunately, her childhood was far from idyllic. She experienced a turbulent upbringing, including a father who was incarcerated for child molestation, and a teenage pregnancy that led her to drop out of school. These early hardships undoubtedly had a significant impact on shaping Wuornos into the person she would later become. Wuornos's descent into homicidal madness began in 1989. She embarked on a killing spree that saw her targeting men across Florida. Wuornos claimed that she was acting in self-defense, citing instances of sexual assault and rape as her motivation for the murders. However, investigators found it challenging to verify her claims, which were often contradicted by evidence. In 1991, Aileen Wuornos was finally apprehended by the authorities after leaving behind a trail of evidence linking her to the killings. Her trial attracted significant media attention, as the public struggled to comprehend the actions of a female serial killer. Wuornos's defense team painted a picture of a woman driven to madness by a lifetime of abuse, while the prosecution argued that she was a calculated predator. After being found guilty of murder, Wuornos was sentenced to death by lethal injection. Her case became the subject of intense debate regarding the ethics and morality of the death penalty. Some sympathized with Wuornos, viewing her as a victim of circumstance, while others believed that her crimes warranted the ultimate punishment. On October 9, 2002, Aileen Wuornos was executed, bringing an end to her reign of terror. Despite the horrifying nature of her crimes, Aileen Wuornos has become an infamous figure in popular culture. Her story has been the subject of multiple books, documentaries, and even a motion picture, with Charlize Theron winning an Academy Award for her portrayal of Wuornos in the film Monster. This morbid fascination serves as a reminder of the dark and twisted corners of the human psyche. In the case of Aileen Wuornos, the story of a troubled childhood and a traumatized adult merged to create a monster who preyed upon unsuspecting victims. Wuornos's life serves as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences that a cycle of abuse can have on an individual. While her crimes may never be fully understood or excused, they remain a chilling reminder of the horrors that lurk within the depths of the human soul. The Zodiac Killer remains one of the most perplexing and enduring mysteries in the history of true crime. Active in Northern California during the late 1960s and early 1970s, this unidentified serial killer taunted the public and law enforcement with cryptic letters and puzzles. The spree of terror began in December 1968, when an as yet unknown assailant shot and killed two high school students, David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen, in Benicia, California. This shocking incident would be the first attributed to the Zodiac Killer. What sets the Zodiac Killer apart from other notorious criminals is his ability to captivate the public through his letters and cryptograms. In his correspondence with newspapers and police, the Zodiac Killer referred to himself as Zodiac, and often included a symbol resembling a crosshair. This chilling insignia became the signature of the Zodiac. The Zodiac Killer struck fear into the hearts of Northern California residents with a string of brutal attacks. His known victims include Faraday, Jensen, as well as Darlene Ferrin and Cecilia Shepard. He claimed responsibility for other crimes as well, boasting of a tally exceeding 30 victims. However, the exact number of his victims remains uncertain. Perhaps the most intriguing aspect of the Zodiac Killer saga is his obsession with puzzles and codes. He sent encrypted letters to newspapers, daring them to solve his riddles and reveal his identity. Despite the best efforts of amateur and professional codebreakers, only a few of these cryptograms have been deciphered, and the killer's true identity remains unknown. Decades have passed since the Zodiac Killer last struck, yet his identity remains a mystery, and the case remains open. Numerous suspects have been considered by law enforcement, amateur investigators, and armchair detectives, but no definitive conclusion has been reached. The chilling notoriety of the Zodiac Killer lives on through books, movies, and documentaries that continue to captivate audiences. The fear and fascination that surround this unsolved mystery serve as a haunting reminder of the darkest corners of the human psyche. While the Zodiac Killer may forever remain unidentified, the legend of his reign of terror continues to intrigue and disturb us. As the years go by, we can only hope that one day the truth will finally be revealed, bringing long-awaited closure to the victims and their loved ones. Jeffrey Dahmer, also known as the Milwaukee Cannibal or the Milwaukee Monster, was one of the most notorious serial killers in American history. His gruesome crimes shocked the world, leaving many bewildered as they grappled with the horrifying details of his acts. In this blog post, we will delve into the life and mind of Jeffrey Dahmer, attempting to unravel the complexities that led to his reign of terror. Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer was born on May 21, 1960, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. From an early age, he displayed troubling signs that hinted at the darkness that lay within him. As a child, Dahmer showed an unsettling fascination with the anatomy of animals and would often collect and dissect roadkill. Despite these disturbing tendencies, his family gave no indication of the horrific path he would later embark on. In his teenage years, Dahmer's behavior escalated. His social isolation and feelings of inadequacy fueled a growing obsession for control and power. These twisted desires eventually found an outlet in acts of violence and heinous acts against innocent victims. Dahmer's first known murder took place in 1978, shortly after his graduation from high school. Over the next 13 years, he continued his brutal spree, targeting young and vulnerable men. His methods were unimaginably gruesome, involving rape, dismemberment, and even acts of cannibalism. One of the perplexing aspects of Dahmer's crimes was his ability to mask his true intentions. He presented a benign and approachable facade to those around him, allowing him to lure victims back to his apartment without raising suspicion. The horror that lay within him was concealed until it was too late for those unfortunate enough to cross his path. Dahmer's reign of terror came to an end in 1991 when a would-be victim managed to escape and alerted the police. Upon searching his apartment, authorities discovered a gruesome scene that offered a chilling glimpse into the depravity of his actions. Dahmer was arrested and subsequently charged with multiple counts of murder and other heinous crimes. During his trial, Dahmer's defense team argued that his horrific actions were the result of a deeply rooted mental illness. Experts testified about his struggles with impulse control, and Dahmer's own admissions shed light on the fantasies that drove him to commit these unspeakable acts. In the end, Dahmer was found guilty and sentenced to multiple life terms in prison. Jeffrey Dahmer's case serves as a haunting reminder of the capacity for darkness that can lurk within seemingly ordinary individuals. The Dahmer case also sparked conversations around mental health, the justice system, and the need for vigilance in recognizing the warning signs of potential predators. In conclusion, the life and crimes of Jeffrey Dahmer continue to be a subject of morbid fascination and disbelief. Understanding the intricacies of his disturbing psyche may help shed light on the motivations behind his gruesome acts and prevent similar atrocities from occurring in the future. Stay tuned for more chilling explorations into the minds of history's most notorious killers. The world of serial killers is a dark and terrifying one, filled with incomprehensible acts of violence. Understanding the psychology, motives, and patterns of these individuals allows us to gain insight into the minds of evil. As a society, it is crucial for us to study and learn from these cases, in the hope of preventing future tragedies and protecting the innocent from the grips of darkness.